Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Filler, and I am a licensed and marriage family therapist in private practice in downtown Decatur, Georgia, where I work with couples and individuals, and I specialize in perinatal mental health. So I primarily work with women through preconception, pregnancy, postpartum, and loss. And I'm hopping on here tonight to talk about the transition to parenthood and how couples can stay connected with each other during this time. I'll be providing a few key tips to help couples to strengthen your relationship. And these tips can actually be used anytime throughout your relationship, not just during the transition to parenthood. So hopefully there'll be a little bit of something in here for everyone. All right. And before I go ahead and talk about some of the tips about keeping your relationship strong, I just wanted to talk really briefly about the transition to parenthood. Because many couples struggle at this time. You're going from becoming a couple with no kids to becoming a couple with kids, and unfortunately, 2 out of 3 parents will report a significant decline in marital satisfaction during the first year after having a baby. And this makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. It's a really hard adjustment. It's normal. But hopefully with some tips that we're going to provide you with tonight, it can become a little bit easier and you can have support from each other during this time. All right. So couples that I talk with in my practice often will come, 1, 2, 3, 5 years after having kids. And a lot of the times they'll tell me that their relationship has become transactional, or they're almost like roommates and they're not good at communicating and really talking with each other. Now they can, they're running a household and they are really good about getting things done, making sure everyone's taken care of, but they aren't actually connecting with each other and talking to one another. Those interactions, like I said, are really very transactional. And so my first tip is going to address that. But first I'm going to take a drink of water. Okay. All right. So the first tip I have for couples to stay connected is to develop a ritual of connection. So what that is, it's creating a space for the two of you to intentionally spend time with each other and really talk on a regular basis. So as new parents, your worlds are both changing dramatically, whether, it's baby 1 or 2 or 3, but having a ritual of connection, intentional space to share your experience with each other, you'll be able to grow together and understand how each other's worlds are changing and really connect with each other and support each other. So I will go ahead and talk about what a ritual of connection can look like for different phases of parenthood. But first I want to tell you just a little bit about some tips of things that you can do during these rituals. So it's really important when you are making that time intentionally to connect with your partner that you're asking open-ended questions. You're really asking each other about how they're doing. How was your day? How are you feeling? Is parenthood different than what you expected? So kind of, open it up, open the conversation. And these questions and conversations should be about the two of you and your experience, not about baby, not about what baby did today, or if baby's sleeping or feeding or whatnot. Because couples are really good at talking about baby's needs and what baby's experiencing, but they're not really good a lot of the time about talking with each other about what your experience is. So talk, use open-ended questions, talk to each other about each other, and also make sure the TV is off, that phones are put away. This is just a time, this ritual of connection is a time just to focus on the two of you, focusing on each other. So rituals of connection can really look different for different phases of parenthood. So maybe in the beginning, the newborn phase, you're exhausted. And it might look like sharing a bowl of ice cream together or a cup of tea when baby goes to sleep and just talking about your day. It doesn't have to be something big. You know, maybe you're even too exhausted to do that. So make time and intentionally sit on the couch with one another, hold hands, just be together, connect, and share that space with each other, okay? And then, you know, as you kind of get out of that newborn phase and you're able to do a little bit more, maybe a ritual of connection might look like going on a nightly walk with each other, putting baby in the carrier or in a stroller, and heading out in your neighborhood and using that time to connect with each other and talk to each other about your experience and how you're doing. All right. And then as routines maybe get a little bit more predictable, maybe your kids are getting a little older. There's different ways that you can mix it up. I work with one couple who does what I call Takeout Tuesday. So every Tuesday, one partner would give the kids a really simple dinner, something with very little dishes, and get them to bed. The other partner's getting takeout. They meet once the kids are asleep, and they have takeout. They have no dishes to do. There's no TV. They are just talking with each other, and it's their ritual every Tuesday that they make time to connect with each other. They're not planning on doing work that night, or they're not scheduling activities outside of the house that evening, because Tuesdays is their night where they come together. So the important thing about establishing a ritual of connection is to find something that works for the two of you, that you can stick to, that's realistic for your life and your relationship. I want to bring up, there's another couple that I want to bring up what they do, because I was really impressed by it. So they have slightly older kids. They're both working outside of the home. And in the evening, when they're commuting home, they both live here in Atlanta and traffic's hideous. So as they commute home, they're talking with each other on the phone. They spend that commute time to catch up with one another, because they know once they get home, it's chaos. There's dinner and bedtimes. And by the end of all that, they're just beat. So they take that time to connect with each other every day on the phone and really talk to each other. So like I said, you know, it really just depends on what fits with your lifestyle. And the cool thing is, as your kids get older, you can establish rituals of connection for your entire family. Maybe that might look like evening dinners where the whole family comes together and sits around the dinner table, and maybe everyone talks about their high and low for the day. You know, what was the best thing that happened to them? What was the thing that wasn't so great that happened to them? But you're connecting as a whole family and really being intentional about the time that you're spending together. So it's really cool. It's something that can start when you have a newborn with your partner, but it's something that can progress and change as your family gets older. And I do want to say, though, even as your family gets older and your whole family is involved in these rituals connection, there still needs to be something just for the couple. All right. And it isn't about grand gestures. None of the examples that I threw out there are, you know, these big, huge things. It's really doing the small things, but doing the small things often. That's what's going to help to really stay connected. And so with that, I'm going to move on to my second tip after I take a swig of water. With how to stay connected to your partner is, the second tip is to create a culture of appreciation. So it takes a lot to run a household, especially when you add a little human to the mix. Both you and your partner are doing things to support the family, to support the household, to support the relationship. But sometimes those things go unnoticed. So by creating a culture of appreciation, you're catching your partner doing something good. You know, when you see them do something that you appreciate, notice it. And not just notice it, but acknowledge it. You know, say thank you. It might be something that your partner does every day that you even take for granted, like making the coffee in the morning. But when you come into the kitchen in the morning and you smell that coffee and you pour that cup and you wake up, you're really grateful every day that it's there. let your partner know that that's something that really means a lot to you, and let them know you're thankful and you notice. So research actually shows that the behaviors that you draw attention to are the ones that are repeated. So if you're criticizing and drawing attention to the things that aren't going right, unfortunately, those are the behaviors that will get repeated. So if you acknowledge, what your partner is doing, you're catching them doing something good, then they're more likely to repeat that behavior. So if you notice your partner that they did the dishes last night and it was really helpful, you might tell them, thank you for doing the dishes last night so I could go to bed. I really needed that. I appreciate that. Chances are they're going to repeat that versus, a few nights later saying, if you never do the dishes, why don't you ever help? Well, unfortunately, that's the behavior that we'll often repeat. So catch them doing something good, create a culture of appreciation. Okay. And my third tip that I have is about managing conflict. So it is completely normal to have increased conflict during your transition to parenthood. At each developmental phase, you're having to figure out new ways to parent, and your lives are changing dramatically. You're tired, and you're not often your best selves. So it makes a lot of sense that conflict and complaints do increase during this time. For most new parents, this is the first time you've really had to collaborate and work together on something really important with your partner. So while it is expected that there are increased complaints and conflict, the important thing is how you manage the conflict, how you talk about the conflict. So at the end of the day, you're not saying things that are hurting each other. So I could talk probably about another 2 hours about managing conflict, because there's a lot of great tips and a lot of things that are helpful, but I'm going to leave you with these last 2 tips about how to manage conflict. So the first one is that timing is key, right? So don't bring up a complaint when one person isn't able to talk. Maybe one person is heading out the door to work or is just about to get into bed. Bring up the complaint that you have when both people are able to talk about it. And also when baby isn't present, if it is something where there's feelings of frustration and anger. You might need to schedule a time. So you might say to your partner, I want to talk to you about something. It's really important. Can we please sit down and talk when the baby goes to sleep? Make a point of bringing that up when both of you are able to talk. Okay, so the first tip is timing is key. And the second tip that I have for new couples is when there is a conflict, when there's a complaint and maybe you're feeling overwhelmed or angry or flooded, that it's really good to take a break. So as you're going through kind of becoming a parent, you're exhausted, it makes sense that you will be overwhelmed or angry, but it's not productive once you get to that point to continue on with the discussion. Oftentimes couples I talk to will say, we fought for hours and went round and round and round, but really what they needed to do after that first 10 minutes was recognize that both of them are too angry or overwhelmed to continue this conversation and decide to take a break. When you take a break, that break should be at least 20 minutes. That kind of with some self-soothing, maybe some deep breathing, that's enough time to kind of regulate your body's response to anger. But maybe it needs to be longer than that. So really anywhere from 20 minutes to 24 hours. But make a plan as you take that break for when you're coming back. Because you don't want taking a break to turn into an avoidance technique, because that doesn't work out very well. All right, so those are the tips that I have. If you would like some more tools, I actually offer a workshop. It's called Hey Baby, and I co-lead it with another awesome therapist. Her name's Shivasani, and it's a full day class, and we help couples to learn to stay connected with each other in this transition to parenthood, how to manage conflict, how to come up with a plan to co-parent together and really talk about what your needs and wants are and how to figure out a way to co-parent that works for both of you in your situation. Also, we talk about how to bond with your baby and ways to create that new family unit that you are creating. So Hey Baby is ideal for expecting parents. We've done the workshop several times this year. It's been so much fun. We've gotten to know so many wonderful couples, and it's great for parents who are expecting. We've had many pregnant couples, but it is also good for parents within that first year. It can be really helpful. And it doesn't have to be your first baby. We've actually had participants who have older kids at home that they recognize that they want to do something a little bit different and that they want to be able to support each other better this time around. So they've come as well. So yeah, I just wanted to say there's a lot of classes that focus on the birth of a baby, but there's not a lot of classes that focus on what to do when you bring baby home. And so that's why I love doing this workshop. And we'll be offering another one in September, September 29th in Atlanta. And after the video, I'll go ahead and post the link and more information if you're interested. But at this time, if there are any questions out there, I would be open to answering any. Let's see. Doesn't look like there's any now, but I will check in on this link throughout the week. So if you are catching this video on the replay, feel free, and you have questions, please feel free to post them, and I'll check back in and comment. All right, so if there's no questions, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please share with anyone who you think might also enjoy it. And please come and join us again. Our next Facebook Live will be on Tuesday, July 17th at 9 p.m. And we'll be talking about PSI state coordinators, more specifically what they are, what they do, and how you can find them. So with that, I just want to end with telling you, first, have a great evening. But if you're struggling, that you're not alone and you're not to blame. And with help, you will be well. All right, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.